Hello, everybody. I am here with a very, 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 very special, I've got to go that way actually, because the camera, a very special guest, Jenn. So really thrilled to have you on, Jenn. Jenn Palmer has just finished actually my program, my working with me in my coaching program. And Jenn, hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So Jenn actually said just before we literally got on, like 3 minutes ago, and I said, oh my gosh, Jenn, you look amazing, first off. And what did you say? Just what did you say?
I feel like a totally new person. I don't feel like the same person I was 4 months ago at all. It's a total cliche, but it is.
And by the way, I'm not like pinching Jenn. Jenn's in Canada. I'm in Los Angeles. So I'm not like, you've got to, So Jenn, so you feel like a completely different woman to how you felt 4 months ago. How did you feel 4 months ago?
Well, 4 months ago, I felt lost. I was completely unhappy. I had a beautiful baby girl, and I was 70 pounds overweight, and I was not sure how to live my life in a healthy way. I was just in a very negative, sad shape when I first saw you. I think we were just talking about the pictures. If I have a picture of before, I was very sad in my life.
Yeah. And it was, I think what's so interesting, Jenn, is that, you say that you were 70 pounds overweight, and you struggled with your weight for a long time, right? So this wasn't just a sort of after having your baby. Is it true that you had struggled with weight for many, many years? And
I struggled with weight for like 20 years, up and down, and more of up. And then got pregnant and got even higher to like the highest I'd ever been. But for the last 20 years, I've struggled with my weight, and I've tried every diet you can imagine to try to lose it. And you lose a bit, and then you put more back on, right? And this is different.
So how has this journey, as we call it a journey, Jenn, so how has it been different for you? Why is this different to all the other things that you've tried?
So I think, well, there's a couple of aspects. It's not just a diet. Sure, it's a healthy diet, a healthy way of living, which was completely different than what I was expecting. To eat vegan is completely different than my life, but I love it now. But the diet is just part of it. It's the mindset that you learn, the taking care of yourself, but also the coaching calls and learning from each of the different women in the group, and being able to interact with people of like mind who are struggling in the same way, but also going through a process that is very similar, which is not something you do when you diet. Normally you diet, you're dieting on your own. You might have a friend that's going to maybe try with you, and you both fail because there's not a program that's helping you to succeed along the way, and not just making healthy choices for food, but also for your body and your mind and your whole being. If that makes sense. I think
Absolutely.
it does.
Absolutely. Jenn, what do you think is, look, Jenn, right now, how much weight have you lost total?
36 pounds.
All right, so Jenn's lost 36 pounds in under 4 months, right? Doing it in a way that's super, super healthy, powering yourself full of beautiful, beautiful whole foods. But Jenn, many people have tried that before. Many people, as you and I, and we all discuss in the program, have like, yeah, well, I kind of know what I should be doing. We all know that we should eat more fruits and vegetables and the normal culprits and the sugars and the this, that, the other. But as you said, aside from the nutrition, what do you think is the biggest piece that has radically moved the needle for you? You said that when we first got on the live stream, I went, oh my gosh, you look great, Jen. And you said, I feel like a completely different person. Why, what was it about your journey that has moved you from, weight aside, let's even take that off the table for now, but from the human being that you were, that was sad, stressed, burned out, hopeless, what do you think is the biggest piece that changed for you along this journey?
The mindset is the change, but it's not just, okay, I want to change my mindset because everybody says, oh, I want to change how I'm thinking about life, and I'm just going to say an affirmation and I'll feel better. Because it's not as simple as that. I can say, oh, I'm a strong, confident person, but I'm not really if I haven't actually done the mindset work that goes with it. So the journaling and the meditation and the daily checking in with myself, and not just putting myself on the back burner and taking care of my family and my business and everyone else in my life first. You have to put your oxygen mask on first on an airplane, as they say, for your children, or the others with you. And you have to do that in life. But as moms, we tend not to. We tend not to think about our mindset and what we need to do every day. And now I do. Now I take time for me and I make plans for me, so that I can be the best mom for my family and for my business and for my husband and everybody else in my life. I can be the better person because I've taken time to figure out what it is that I need, whether it's a cup of tea before I get started, or, a hot bath, or whatever it is. I need to take time for me too. And I think that's the biggest part.
So it's been a process of you, which I've watched with you, Jen. It's been a process of you learning to put yourself first and to take care of yourself in a way that you've never taken care of yourself before, correct? And it's exactly not, as we say in the program, it's not just taking care of yourself as in, oh, I'm going to do, self-care and which is lovely to do, whether we, do the lovely hot bath or the sheet mask or whatever, but it's taking care of yourself on a very, very deep level, correct? Do you want to talk a little bit about that and what that's meant to you, how that's shifted for you?
Well, I think it's probably the most important part of me is learning that I have things I want to do that aren't just dreams that I can pretend are never going to happen. There are things I actually want to do. So you had to go deep into what's happening in my life today, and what's happening in the future, and where do I want to go. But you have to peel back the layers of what's happened without going into heavy duty counseling or therapy. Still delving into, how did I get here? How did I let myself get to the point that I've been at? Eating all the junk food that we choose to eat for many, many years, and why did I do that? And now, okay, so once I've decided why I did it, how am I going to change it? All those coaching calls of how did you get here? What are you going to do to switch that now?
Yeah,
flip that belief.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Jen, and it's so true that it's like you have that beautiful honesty, and thank you for being so honest and vulnerable about that. It's just like, well, there was, I think you realized when you very first started, there's a problem underneath the problem. And the problem as it presented when you and I first spoke, and I'll always remember that coaching call, as I said to you, I mean, the call that we first got on. And I remember you were just like, I am as 70 pounds overweight. I have always struggled with my weight for 20 years, and I just don't know what to do. And you knew there was something that needed to shift on a deeper level. You sort of knew there was, but you didn't quite, you had no idea what you were getting into, actually.
I had no idea how to do it or what to do. I just knew that something had to change. If I wanted to be here, to be a mother to my beautiful girls and watch them grow up and have their own families, I needed to make some major changes, not just to my eating. Eating was really, really important, but to why do I eat that way? And why do I continually go to food? Because I already knew I had an addiction to food. But why do I choose food and certain foods when I'm stressed out or what's happening in my life? And I needed to really delve into what was going on inside. Mentally.
Amazing. And Jenn did. I mean, you really have done. For all of you who are watching, you know, Jenn, this work isn't necessarily easy. Genevieve is on. This work isn't necessarily the easiest work in the world to do. It takes an enormous amount of commitment, an enormous amount of courage. But that's exactly what you did. And you were willing, Jenn, to go inside and uncover really everything that had been holding you back, not just for the last few years, but as you say, for 20 years or even longer for most of your life. And as you slowly uncovered those layers and dealt with each of those, you know, limiting beliefs and stories that we call them, you know, they're the stories that we build and the meaning that we make of everything. It was almost like once you got the hang of it in the program, then you just became this ninja at it. It was like, boom, I'm going to knock this one out and this one out and this one out. It was almost like what I saw with you, Jenn, was that the lights came on. It was like probably a few weeks in, you know, it's once, because at the beginning, there's the kind of the food cravings and, oh my gosh, and how am I going to do this? And the, you know, some of the sort of more practical stuff. But then I think I saw with you about 3 weeks in, you were like, oh, this is a whole different level here. This is going into mindset. And it was just like you were in training. You were kind of Navy SEALs training and you were going through it. And it was just extraordinary. It's been extraordinary for me to see your beautiful commitment to this journey. And Jenn, this commitment to, I want to be the best person that I can be. I want to be the best mother. I want to be the best wife. And beyond that, as what I've seen blossom during your time in the program is, and wait a minute, what else? What else is there? Who else do I want to be? How else do I want to live my life? And that's the beautiful thing. For those of you who are watching, you know, we spent a lot of time in the program talking about our sort of future version of ourselves, because for so many of us for so long have really only got as far as, well, I need to lose weight and I'm desperate to lose weight. But Jenn, is it true for you that once that wasn't even an issue anymore because the weight just started coming off and is going to continue to, then it's like game on. Then it's like, okay, now what, right?
It's entirely like that. The weight just kind of fell off. I didn't feel like I was doing anything in particular to force the weight off. The weight, as I started to eat healthy and do the work on my emotional states, the weight just kind of started to fall off regularly each week. But the visions of the future was a lot harder to deal with. I couldn't, when I first met with you, I had no idea what my future person could look like. I couldn't see her. I couldn't feel her. I don't know. She was supposed to be skinny. That's sort of all I had. But now I can feel what I want my future to look like, and I can see it, and I can see possibility and different possibilities. It doesn't have to be one specific dream of what I want to have happen. It's an infinite field of possibilities now.
Oh my God. And I happen to know what some of those possibilities are for Jenn, which is super, super exciting. And, you know, Jenn, it's so, if you could see, everybody who's watching, I was saying to Jenn just before we hopped on, I said, God, I wish I had a before picture. I wish I had a snapshot of the first time that we were on a Zoom call, Jenn, because Jenn was, well, first off, she was sort of 40 pounds heavier than she is now, but it wasn't just the weight, it was the energy. It was the weight of the world on your shoulders. It was the weight of you were wearing your stress, your insecurity, your hopelessness, you were just wearing that. And you were just, it was just, the energy was just all over the place. And I can't even tell you, Jenn, to see you sitting here now, and Jen's in British Columbia, freezing outside, right? Midday, middle of her workday or afternoon, we're looking absolutely gorgeous, poised, centered, beautiful, present, in your body, confident with yourself, with all these incredibly exciting plans for your future, is everything. It is everything, Jenn. And it is so beautiful how hard you've committed and how hard you've worked to do this internal work. Because as Jenn said, the internal work is everything. The nutrition is relatively simple once you get the hang of it. And yes, at the beginning with the food cravings and everything, you've got to get underneath that and know how to deal with it and know how to negotiate all of that, right, Jenn? And then you get over that bridge and then it's like, okay, I'm not really craving unhealthy foods anymore and I'm enjoying my foods and doing all that. But the really beautiful thing is seeing, and also, for those of you who are watching, because many of you, unless there's a couple on, I think Genevieve, who have maybe met you in the program, most who are watching have not met you, is Jenn does not lead a life that is, that does not lead, my phone's going off, does not lead a life that is a stress-free life, right? So Jenn has started the program. You had a 6-month-old baby, right? Was she 6 months when you started?
She was 6 months when we started, and she is 9 months now.
Right. So you have a 6-month-old when Jenn started the program. She has a 14-year-old now. Is she 14 now?
13. She's 13.
Okay. She has a 13-year-old. Jenn is back to work. She runs her own business and freezing cold. So you started the program in the dead of winter. What was the temperature outside?
Like 3 degrees.
Yeah, 3 degrees. So
it's cold.
Yeah. So why Jenn's journey is so incredibly powerful, and Jenn, why I often say to you, you just blow me away, is Jenn did this program with sometimes having 4 hours sleep, a teething baby, a screaming baby sometimes, a 13-year-old. And if any of you have daughters who a 12, 13, 14 or 15-year-old daughter, you'll know exactly what we're talking about here. And all the other struggles and constraints of life, not being able to go outside and go, it's beautiful weather, I'm going to go outside and exercise every single day. So all this to say, Jenn, you almost had everything going against you that could have made this journey incredibly difficult for you. So what do you think? What I remember what it was, but do you remember in the early days, some of those pieces those mindset pieces that really moved the needle for you and enabled you to step up and do what you wanted to do, even when life was pushing you down?
Absolutely. I say to them, so to myself every day still. So yeah, I have a stressful life. I don't have an easy, simple, laid back. I am not retired. I have a busy life. It's a wonderful life. It's just very busy. So I have every excuse not to eat healthy or exercise or whatever no matter what is that I need to do each day. But I wanted to make a change and I knew that. So in the coaching, we came up with some different affirmations, I suppose you would call them, to help me get through the day when I was struggling, when I needed to just connect with something. So, the I am, I can are all ones I use every day, but the anything, anytime, any place, I can do this, I got this. Those are things that they resonate with me. They aren't, everyone's is different, but those were the ones that I needed to keep going. I can do this anytime, any place. I got this. And you're chugging along, because sometimes it is like that. It's snowing and I'm out shoveling snow instead of running, or running in the rain, in the freezing rain, because that's what we have in the winter in BC, in the spring and the summer too, but it doesn't really just go away here. So, learning to become a runner was a huge dream and goal for me. But I could have said, no, I'm not going to do it. I don't have a treadmill. I'm not going to do it at home. It's too cold. Instead, I said, no, this is it. I'm doing it. Anytime, anywhere, any place. I'm going.
Yeah. And Jenn, you did that with absolutely everything. So Jenn did that with all, we have a lot of different moving parts, and we have a lot of different pieces in the program, because it's a holistic program, right, Jenn, where we deal with everything. It's mind, body, soul, and spirit, and hormones and food and everything. But the mind, body, spirit, and almost the spiritual piece, because it's both very, very practical, right? But there's also this deeply spiritual component to it. And what I have seen with you, Jenn, is that you have taken that piece and you've gone so deep with that. And even on nights where you had very, very little sleep, and even on days when everything was conspiring against you, that's where you went. You didn't go without to try and fix anything on the outside. You have learned to go deep within. And Jenn, you have learned to go deep within and find your true identity of who you really, really are as a woman and what you're capable of. And it's so beautiful, because I've now been able to see over the course of a very short amount of time, like 14 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It's such a short amount of time. But over the course of 14 weeks, I've seen this journey that you've been on, that, as I've said, not only have you shed the 40 of your unwanted pounds and you're going strong. And now, obviously, I think is it true to say that you're fully confident on exactly what you have to do, and you'll never have to go on a diet again to get rid of the
No, I won't change what I'm doing now. What I'm doing now is working, and it will continue to work as long as I continue to do all of the work. Eating the food, doing the mindset, doing the meditations. 3-minute meditations was all I could do when I first started, if that, 30 seconds some days.
Yeah.
And now I can sit down and do a half-hour meditation, and I've got time, or I make time. But I couldn't possibly fit that in at the beginning into my life. And now I've realized that there are ways to add all of these things into our lives every day without it feeling like you're spending 2.5 hours doing all of the things that need to get done.
Absolutely. So really what you're saying is that life, the Ignite way, as we call it, life in the program, with all the different things that we do to get you to be who you want to be, Jenn, feeling confident and gorgeous and hopeful and excited and healthy and all of those things, they're all doable. You have learned how to fit them into each and every day so that they have become part of who you are. It's become, would you say, Jenn, it's become a lifestyle for you?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, I know it's like a bit of a catchy word these days to have a new lifestyle, but it is. It's a new way of thinking for me. It's become part of my everyday life. All of the things that I do, and it doesn't have to be, I'm going to sit down and do journaling for an hour. It can be like 3 minutes of journaling for today, because that's what I've got in between going and picking up the kids to do the next thing. But it's all a part of my new life, and it's part of who I am every day.
And do you feel that now, because I think the big difference is that in the past, right, you would do something, a diet or whatever it was, and I think a lot of people do this. So they'll do a program or a diet, or I'm going to start doing this, I'm going to start whatever the health thing is. And life happens, right? And you've had your fair share, Miss Jenn, of life really happening to you. Without going into the personal details for everybody who's watching, Jenn has had her fair share of life in every way you can imagine. But in the past, I think, would it be true to say, Jenn, that life would happen and then it would be like gone, everything flow out the window?
Absolutely.
You'll be back to your old ways, back to the comfort food, back to eating your feelings, back to feeling despondent. So now, do you feel and do you have hope after 14 weeks that whatever happens in your life when it hits you, how do you feel going forward? Do you feel less afraid, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm totally less afraid. I'm far less fearful of falling off the wagon, as you might call it, of just reverting back to my old habits, because now I know why I did them, and now I know how not to do them in the future. Yeah, I've had my fair share of hurdles, if you want to call them that, drastic life issues that have happened off and on throughout my Ignite journey. So through that, I've had a chance to learn how to deal with them and make sure that I don't just revert back to, shoving food in my mouth because it feels good or, sitting down and binge watching a movie with, a whole bunch of popcorn and chips and cheesies, that kind of thing. I now know other ways to deal with my emotions that don't involve food. So I can have food, but I know how to deal with the emotions without food now, in a way that is much healthier, emotionally. So now when things come up, I'm able to use the tools from my Ignite toolbox to be able to deal with those emotional stressors, and then not have to go to my kitchen.
Absolutely. It's so funny, as you were saying that, it was so resonant, because you said, now, I thought you were going to say, now I can have my emotions and my food, which is actually true, isn't it, Jenn? It's like, now, instead of being afraid of your emotions, now you've become so familiar with that one, with the different emotional states. And now you know how to consciously and intentionally change your emotional state. And that's what I've seen with you, really, truly, over and over again. It's like, I have this toolbox. Now I can change that emotional state so I can have it's not like we're pretending they're not there. It's like, I can have them, I can feel them, and I have the tools to know how to deal with them in a way that is so healthy and healing and beautiful. And so it's like you can have your cake and eat it too, which literally
totally
you're going to be doing this weekend, because I know you've got a birthday party. But truly, that you can have your food. And that's a beautiful thing to say, Jenn, because, I think in the past, we tend to always think of diets as being denial. I can't have this. It's so hard. I'm counting points, and the shame that's involved in that, and the awful sort of falling off the wagon. And how has that piece changed with you? Has some kind of mindset shift happened, that as you're cooking and feeding yourself, that you're feeding yourself in a different way? Can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, for sure. I have been able to now identify the difference between the body hunger and brain hunger. And now I nourish my body with nutritious foods before I get to the emotional states. So when I'm hungry, I'm planning out proper meals and eating proper nutrition. So my body is healthy and nourished. And then my emotional eating is separate. I'm not eating emotionally anymore. It's because I'm actually already nourished. My body has already got the nutrition that it needs to function, to be able to run and do the things that I want to do in the day. So I'm not afraid to cook anymore. I can cook beautiful, nutritious foods that I love, that I didn't think I would like at all. And actually my family is starting to like too. So this is actually very exciting, getting the kids to actually eat the food as well, somewhat hiding it from them, but they're starting to enjoy it. And so so I'm nourished as a whole body, not not just bits and pieces, or not feeling like I'm having to count calories and only get so much food in, and then too bad you're hungry, but you don't get to eat anymore until tomorrow. It's not like that. You get to eat until you're full, and you learn that you're full. You don't need to keep eating. You're full.
Yeah. And I love that you said, really big, huge win, Jen, that you said, I get to eat the foods that I love. And this is such a massive distinction, because, did you ever think 14 weeks ago that you would go, okay, my body has shed 40 pounds. I'm eating, these beautiful whole plant-based foods, and my body is just shedding this weight. It's melting this weight. And I love the food that I'm eating. Did you ever think that you would get to that, even in the first probably 2 months?
Not at all. Like, my sister's been vegan for years, right? And they're having a really good laugh, because honestly, I was the true meat and potatoes person forever. And I loved that, and I needed that, and that's what I told myself I needed. And now I am the complete opposite. I love the food that I'm eating, and I feel great when I'm having it, but it tastes delicious. Your taste buds change so drastically when you stop eating the oils and the refined flours and sugars, and you start to enjoy food a different way. You realize that, an orange has such beautiful flavors in it that you didn't even notice before, because you're so busy eating all the processed foods.
Yeah.
So now I'm a completely different eater than I was, 14 weeks ago, and I never could have imagined. And also, it's quite funny.
It's quite funny, isn't it? And also all of your, family, because I have people in my family in England who are, vegan. There's a lot of carnivores, and there's also a lot of, vegans, neither of which are healthy. Neither diets are healthy, actually, because you can have obviously you can have a vegan diet that can be incredibly unhealthy and be full of processed foods. So it's such a beautiful, you've got a little leg up and a step up now, Jen, even over and above everybody else, even in your family, because now you are absolutely secure in the knowledge that you are eating for disease prevention. That feels good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a little scare a couple of years ago, and I was terrified that I was going to have a heart attack. Now that I have a new baby, I need to be here to raise her and watch her grow and become a grandmother and all of those wonderful things. And now I know that I'm eating every way that is going to make my body healthy for the longest life it can live. The food is helping the body instead of hindering it, instead of causing disease. We know that sugar and salt and oil and all the processed lovely foods are horrible. We're actually horrible for our bodies.
Yeah.
And I knew that before that. I just didn't do it.
And that's the Jen, right?
You knew it.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. It's just like almost everybody I speak to, they're like, I know what I should be doing. We don't live under a rock. Within reason, everybody knows that what the culprits are, that we shouldn't be eating as, whatever it is, the unhealthy processed foods and the sugars and everything else. And so some women come to me and they're like, I know what I should be doing. I've read every book. I've got stacks of books. I've watched every YouTube video. I've done every blah, 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 blah. And I think that's really the thing, isn't it, Jen? It's like, but do you actually do it? And how do you do it? And how do you put that into practice? And you can have the strategy and you can have the protocol, but would you say, Jen, it's the mindset shift that has to happen in order for it all to happen permanently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to be like, everybody asks, so what are you doing? How did you lose the weight? Well, I'm eating healthy and exercising, which is what every doctor tells you to do.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can eat healthy and exercise and not lose weight if you're not working on the mindset. If you're not, or you can lose weight and then just put it back on, which is what happened with me so many times. Because I didn't switch the mindset as to why was I putting it back on? Why was I slipping back into those ab habits? Why was I not allowing myself to continue this healthy journey? So many mind switches or shifts or flips, as you want to call them, that you have to address. And the program is so great at that. It's so great with the coaching calls where someone's talking about what they're going through and you're just listening and writing notes and crying because you feel exactly the same way as they do, and so you learn so much, not just from your individual coaching that you get done in the coaching calls, but from everyone else's journey that's in the program at the same time. So you don't feel alone. You don't feel like you're struggling on your own, which I think most people do feel like that. You're the only one, or everybody else looks like they have a better life, or they have more things put together, or everything's just going better for them than you are, which is not true. Everyone's life is upheaval somewhere. But you learn so much from everybody in the group who's going through it, and you feel like you've got this not just a group of women, but this incredible team that is helping you along the way and holding you up, sort of like, cheerleading, holding you up on the pyramid.
Absolutely. Jenn, what would you say was a couple of, just finishing up here, what would you say is a couple of maybe the most sort of profound moments for you, shifts along your journey where you had a realization of something about you, something about maybe that you deserve, something about a breakthrough for you that has changed you into who you were 14 weeks ago to the woman that I see right now today?
I think there were several shifts in my journey, from the very beginning of allowing myself to do the program and feel confident that this was the right decision, to trusting that I was doing the right thing for me and that this program would work. Because, there are so many programs out there. Nobody knows. You always wonder, is this what I should do? Is this the right thing? Is this going to work for me? And I think it was Barb who said something in my very first weeks, who said that, if you can't trust yourself, trust in the process. And that has just sort of resonated with me throughout the whole program, because I couldn't trust myself at the beginning. I couldn't trust myself not to go get a cookie. I couldn't trust myself not to say, oh, I'm not going to go do my workout today, or I'm not going to have my smoothie today. I couldn't trust myself. So I think it was Barb who said it at the beginning.
She did.
I just was kept repeating it to myself, just trust in the process and this will work. And I just continued each day to say, just trust. And eventually now I can trust myself, right? To not make those decisions. On one of our coaching calls recently, we talked about birthdays and what do we do and how do we not, gorge on the things that we shouldn't. And now I know that I can trust myself not to do that, or not to start putting up my own hurdles and stop myself from doing the things that I want. And I think there are so many moments throughout the entire Ignite process. But mostly it was about the modules each week coming out and seeming to be just what I needed to hear and just what I needed to do next to move forward, whether it was some journaling on grief or whether it was, moving into hormones or whatever it was. Each one just felt like it was like, yeah, okay, this is the next step. And now if I do this, then I'll keep going. And it's the next process that I can work through. And I mean, they weren't easy. My hormones are a big mess. And we're trying to get them balanced. They're going to take a while to get balanced. But, and I'm still having some nice, lovely dizzy spells and things. But that's just a part of my journey that I'm learning that it's not the destination, it's the journey. Each part, the journey, I guess the journey is the destination, instead of I want to be there or I want to do what they're doing. I'm already doing it, and I'm changing each step as I go. So those were big changes for me to realize that, it doesn't have to be the greener pasture that I see in the future. It's every day making choices that put me where I want to be.
Wow, that is amazing. What a beautiful, beautiful distinction that you said. And I hope everyone who's watching can really hear this. Is Jenn said, it's not about just it's going to be, I'll be all right when I'm over there. I'll be all right when I'm, whatever it is, 50 pounds lighter or feeling better or feeling confident or whatever. What Jenn's saying is, it is now. I'm feeling it now. And everything that you're doing is now, Jenn. It's like, I'm not going to push the exercise off till when it's sunny outside. I'm not going to start eating healthy when life gets easier or better, or I haven't got a screaming baby and 4 hours sleep. What you see before you, everybody, is a woman who is doing it today, now. She is walking the walk. She's learned to put all these pieces into place in her life, no matter how difficult her life is, because it happens and it's called life. And we all have our fair share of it at different times, but you're doing it now. And what I get to see, Jenn, through the incredible commitment and work that you've put into this program, is a woman before me who just is now. So you are not the woman when you do go to is it your daughter's birthday party this weekend?
No, it's not for a few months. We're just trying to get plans.
Oh, you're getting it planned, but it'll be your daughter's first birthday. But when you're at Katie's first birthday, and right now, and when you're at that birthday, we talk a lot about in our program about you're creating this vision of this self that you want to be. And Jenn, you are it now. You are living it now. You are breathing it now. You are exercising it. You are eating it. You are being it. You are thinking it. And to see that is just everything for me. It is everything. And it's all you, because you've worked so hard at this. But to be sitting here now, a woman who is confident, who is beautiful, who feels good about herself, who feels that you can tackle anything that life throws at you, who has the confidence and trust in yourself now, Jenn, that no matter what comes your way, you won't ever have to fall off the wagon again or go south, because you've got the tools to be able to deal with that, is absolutely beautiful. And you deserve every piece of this. You deserve, because what you said is, I've been on this journey, and as you're right, Barb said, Barb, for those of you who don't know, is another beautiful lady who's been through my program. And Barb said at the end, this is a process that I can trust when I don't trust myself. And so often we actually can't trust ourselves at the beginning, because we come in with the food cravings. We've fallen off so many times. We can't trust ourselves because of all the thinking, right, Jenn, that has held you back for years, all those negative beliefs. So you can't. All you've got is this voice in your head that's telling you that you don't deserve and you're not good enough and you can't. So you've trusted this process and you've dismantled all of that, Jenn, one brick at a time, and there's still work to do, and there always will be, but you've dismantled it enough and worked the tools enough that now, as you say, and this is the gold, is that you can trust yourself. So you trust yourself, you trust your beautiful body to do what it's doing. And so 14 weeks later, now no longer you are that woman with the health issues, struggling. I think you were almost having heart palpitations, sweating. If you could see, as I said, if I had a picture of you on that call, I just could just see it so clearly. You, I think, in your bedroom, and you seemed completely discombobulated. You were frightened, and you were frightened.
I was very frightened.
And now
I was very frightened of where the future would go and what would happen. And if I didn't make a change, what was going to happen physically to my body. and now I'm not frightened. I know where it's going and I know how to keep it healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. And one lady did ask a question and said, how do you manage to run and not hurt yourself? Not hurt your knees.
I am doing an interval training running program. So I am starting, I can share it with Sophie later, but I started with a very small, very light running program. So you run for 1 minute, you walk for 1 minute. And then the next day you run for 1 minute and walk for 1 minute twice. And the third day, 3 times until you get up to, now I'm at running for 3 minutes 9 times and walking for a minute in between. So I'm getting up to, a 45-minute run just about, but I'm still only running for 3 minutes at a time so that my body can slowly adjust and move its way up. I'm just about moving to 4 minutes next week. And then it'll go up to 8, 10, all the way up until I feel confident about what level I want to continue to run at. But it's a slow process, similar to Ignite. You don't just jump in and do all of the work all on the first day. It's a process that you slowly build up on. And that's what's working for me with my running, is just doing it slowly. And I only run like 4 or 5 days a week. I don't run all 7. I do yoga on the days that I don't do runs, so that I have restorative days. And some days, if it's just a 3-minute run, it's literally just a 3-minute run. Yeah. It's the short day, and do some yoga the next day.
Yeah, beautiful. What a great answer. And I think within that, Jenn, what I hear is that you've learned to, you're mindful in everything that you do. And so the mindful piece with that is, now you're so in tune with your body that if you were to go out and try and run 10 miles, A, when it's, cold outside, and B, when your body's new to doing this, it just wouldn't pan out. And actually Barb did the same as you. She started with the little run walk thing. And I love your analogy of the Ignite program, which, you're right, is exactly the same. I think often week 1, everyone's like, oh my gosh, there's going to be so much, and how am I going to do all this, and blah, blah, blah. And then you just get into your stride, and then you just realize, I'm just adding one little thing at a time. And it's this beautiful journey. It's a journey, not a diet. And it's a journey that you're doing now. And may I say, because I know I need to let you get back to work, Jenn runs a store. She's got the baby Katie to take care of and everything else. But Jenn, honestly, you are an absolute inspiration. And I just want to acknowledge you for, as I've said before, is you've done the work. You committed, you were coachable, and you were incredibly resourceful. And you have been those 3 things, which is what I asked when we very first spoke. But you've been those 3 things every day, come rain, snow, sleet, or shine. And I say that metaphorically, because there's been rain, snow, sleet, shine, thunderstorms, actually physically in your, actually literally in your journey since you've been on Ignite, and in your life with things that have happened to you in life, and all the hurdles and all the things that have been thrown at you. And you have remained committed, coachable, resourceful. And with those 3 things and what you've learned, the sky is the limit. You're right. You said at the beginning of the call, it is the infinite field of possibilities that has now opened up to you. And so what a beautiful gift you are, Jenn, to your family, to your husband, to your 2 beautiful daughters, to everyone in my community, and hopefully to anyone who's watching. Please have hope, because Jenn came in and she did feel a little bit hopeless, and now look at her. She's just watching you and hearing you speaks for itself. Is there any little word of hope or advice that you want to leave everybody before we say goodbye?
Well, thank you for the program. Thank you for creating it, and the program is amazing. And I just have to say thank you. And to anyone who is thinking about doing it, or is doing it now, just do it. Do each aspect that is asked of you in the time that you can. But don't be afraid to realize that it's not one size fits all for everyone. Everyone's life is different. Mine was very different, so my journey was different than someone else's. But the program is amazing, and I will continue to do the program for the rest of my life.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Jenn. And you're right. You don't have to be, you can be anywhere in the world. You can have any kind of lifestyle. Jenn, that's the beauty of it, isn't it? We just get to know each other with all the different ages, different lifestyles, different jobs, different family situations, and you make it your own. Yes, there is the way that we do it, but the beauty is that, and I get to see, is how you all make it your own and empower yourself with these tools. So thank you so much, Jenn. And anyone who's watching, you are absolutely free to, book a breakthrough call with me, which Jenn got on a breakthrough call with me, 14 weeks ago. And you're welcome to do that. And we can chat and see if it's a good fit for you. But Jenn, I look forward to seeing you later. And thank you everybody for watching. And if anybody has any questions, because we're live right now, and so there are a few of you on live. So if anybody has any questions that you want to either ask me or ask Jenn, because Jenn's the expert now, you're welcome to just leave your questions, and then Jenn or I can go in later. Jenn, I'm putting you on the spot here and saying, would you even do that? But Jenn will go in later, and if you have any questions that you just want really candid feedback from Jenn or we can come in and answer your questions. And even when we're not live, Jenn and I can offline, you can still ask questions, and Jenn or I will come in, or both of us will come in and answer. So thank you everyone who's watching. And if you're struggling, there is hope for you. There is hope for everybody. And thank you for giving us your precious time. Beautiful, beautiful Jenn. Love you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.